This week we are talking about organic wines. Now, I've got 4 wines for us to taste today, but I think it might be useful just to have a little definition about what an organic wine is before we taste these. Simply put, an organic wine is made from grapes that are grown without any added herbicides or pesticides, so they are organically grown fruit. In the States, it's slightly different. So if you see an organic wine written on the label, it will mean that there's no added sulfur. But in America, you can have wines that say made with organically grown grapes, and so there's just a little difference there. But in Europe and many places in the rest of the world, it tends to mean that there is just no use of herbicides or pesticides. So what does that mean? Well, generally speaking, it means that the vineyard has a whole different life energy about it. You might find that there are more cover crops, things that might be sort of commonly seen as weeds are actually giving really great vital nutrients to the soil and indeed the grapevines themselves. But I think it's really important that we get on and taste these wines and have a little discovery. We are in South Australia for our first wine. This is produced by Yalumba and it is a Viognier. Now, Viognier is a French grape variety that you see very commonly in the northern and southern Rhône, but it's headed down to the southern hemisphere and they've got their very own delicious expression. Year in, year out, I think this is a really solid organic wine, and I think it's one that I'm really excited to try today. So let's have a little nose and see what's going on. So you have this lovely kind of note of peaches, apricots, a little bit honeyed, and yeah, it smells really inviting. And that's coming through. Oh, it's a lovely floral note, a little bit of touch of the sort of honeysuckle aromas, and it does have that lovely peachy note, and there's a nice creamy generosity to the mouth as well. So it's not like one of those sort of white wines that can just leave you feeling very thin and light. It sort of coats the mouth and it's got a lovely lift to it. I think it's a really delicious wine. It's very well made. It's actually a wild fermentation, so that means that they haven't added any yeast to start the fermentation. I think that actually gives it another layer of flavour as well. So it's just a very solid, and for the price, excellent organic wine. This is the Famille Brocard Chablis. Now, when you see Chablis on the label, it can mean it's only one grape variety, and that is Chardonnay. Now, it can be a little bit confusing, like many French wines, but Chablis always is Chardonnay. Now, this isn't about big, oaky, rich, vanilla-y styles of Chardonnay. These are leaner and a little bit fresher. We're in eastern France, and it's a sort of a fairly cool climate area of Burgundy, and it's on the fringes on the way to Champagne. It's got this very special soil called Kimmeridgian soil, and that Kimmeridgian seam actually stretches all the way to the UK, so that when you're in the Jurassic coast on the southern coast of England, it's the same soil that you find in Chablis. But enough about soils, let's chat about the wine. It's actually from vines that have been organically certified since 1997, so they've got a long history, and Famille Brocard are widely regarded as one of the best winemakers in the region, so they really should be doing something good. Let's have a little taste. And it smells delicious. I mean, I love Chablis, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but I have tasted a lot of Chablis, so I think I like to know when I'm across a good one, and I think this is smelling lovely. It's got that lemon, citrus, zesty lift, a little bit kind of mineral steeliness going on as well, but let's have a taste. And that all comes through. Mouth-watering acidity, which I just love. And it's zesty, lemon, a little bit steely, but the lemon also has a bit of that lemon curd, so that, I mean, it's got a little creamy touch too. It's not as mouth-filling as, say, the Viognier that we just tasted, which has got a bit more body, but this certainly is a very, very elegant wine. I think you get a lot of wine for your money. I know it's not cheap, but it really is very high quality and absolutely one I would recommend seeking out. We are now in southeastern Spain in the region of Humilla. Now, if you're in the Alicante region and you travel inland, you get to the region of Humilla. Now, I particularly wanted to select a wine from here because the wider region, they're really interesting. One of their big things that they're pushing is sustainable and organic viticulture. And you have a huge amount of monastrell growing there, which is also known as Mataro or also known as Mourvèdre. So it's a French grape variety, but it's made its way around the Mediterranean basin and has a very good reputation in this area of Spain. Now, this is 100% organic grapes, so remembering that's no herbicides or pesticides, and they have lots of old vines there. So those vines have had to really work hard to get the nutrients. So the roots are going deep in an area that traditionally is quite low on water. So I'm expecting something kind of quite earthy and rich, but let's have a little taste and see what we've got. And you're getting that lovely brambly dark red fruits. A little bit smoky as well, and yeah, it smells very appealing. Definitely that black cherry, black currant, like mouth coating. Definitely tannins there, but they're not really aggressive, but they're present. So if you were having some, really nice grilled meats with that, it's got a really nice structure that would work well. And it's also got this lovely sort of that smoky edge, a little bit like a balsamic glaze, sort of the sweetness of that coming through as well. But it's very well made, and I think for a sub £10 bottle of wine, you get a lot of wine for your money. It's an underappreciated region. It's not sort of famed for making these very kind of world-class wines, but I think what you do get in this is a very solidly well-made wine with a great pedigree, excuse me, it's a mouthful, of the grapes that are being used in it. So definitely look out for monastrells from Humilla, and this is an excellent example. This is the Histrio Rosso Toscana. So this is a red wine from Tuscany, and it has this amphora written on the label. So this is a blend of two grape varieties, Sangiovese and Malvasia Nero. Now these are grapes that are grown indigenously in the Tuscan region, especially Sangiovese, which is the wine that's used in Chianti, and I'm really excited to taste this. Now the amphora on the label means it's been aged in amphora, and which are huge, beautiful clay vessels, a very traditional winemaking technique that dates back many thousands of years. So they're aging it in these vessels, which gives it a little bit more oxygen. There's no harsh edges, and it's been aged in there for 12 weeks. So really looking forward to tasting this wine actually. So let's see what's got going on. And this is lovely. You've got that beautiful, there's lots of red currants coming through, raspberries, smelling very appealing. And it's rich, concentrated, the tannins are there, but they're actually quite fine. But it's great kind of depth of flavour. There's a sweetness to the fruit, really concentrated, really juicy. Think of those kind of like very plump, end of the season ripe cherries where they almost fall apart. They're so ripe. And it's a really nicely made wine. Again, I think it's got some good character to it, and I think for the price point, you get a lot of wine for your money. It's made by a very reputable producer who have been making wines in Tuscany for over 140 years. They're still family owned, and so whilst they're quite a large operation, they really do care about the vineyards and the sustainability of their future, hoping, I'm sure, to be around for another 140 years to come. So yeah, it's a lovely wine, great wintry wine, so I'll definitely have a little look out for that one. This has just been the tiniest snapshot of organic wines. It's actually one of the largest growing areas of the wine sector, and I think that's really exciting. I think that can only be a good thing for the consumers, us, and also for the planet. In order to have really good sustainable viticulture, you do not want to be treating your soils with absolutely loads of rubbish, and also you don't want your workers to be in an environment where they're using these herbicides and pesticides too. So really everybody in the whole cycle of producing organic wines is a winner. I think it's increasingly common that you'll see more wines that are available, organic wines that are available in the supermarket. They still tend to be more the preserve of the independent wine shop, although we have got some great supermarket examples here today. But it's one of those things, the more that we want something as consumers, hopefully the greater the provision will be. So go out, go to your independent, see what's on the shelves of your supermarket as well, and experiment and try some organic wines. I think you'll be really surprised as they are really quite delicious. Cheers.